You know that feeling. It's 1 a.m. The room is dark, the house is quiet, everyone else is asleep. And your brain decides right now is the perfect time to replay that awkward thing you said in a meeting 3 years ago. Or to run through every possible way tomorrow could go wrong. Or to revisit a conversation and rewrite every line with what you should have said. You're exhausted, your body is done, but your mind, it's just getting started. Here's the thing. Nobody tells you this isn't a personal flaw. It's not weakness. It's not you being dramatic. There's actual science behind why certain people's brains come alive the moment the lights go out. And once you understand what's really happening up there, everything starts to make a strange kind of sense. Let's start with what nighttime actually does to your brain. During the day, you're busy. Work, conversations, notifications, decisions, noise. Your brain is constantly reacting to the outside world. All of that external stimulation acts like a lid. It keeps your internal thoughts from boiling over. Psychologists call this attentional load. When your attention is demanded by the outside world, your inner world stays manageable. But then night comes. The noise stops, the phone goes down, the distractions disappear, and suddenly that lid comes off. Your brain doesn't suddenly create new thoughts at night. It finally has the space to surface the ones you've been suppressing all day without even realizing it. The unfinished conversations, the unresolved fears, the things you felt but didn't have time to process. Night doesn't make you an overthinker. It just removes everything that was hiding it. Now here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone experiences this the same way. Research shows that chronic nighttime overthinkers share a specific neurological pattern. Their brains have what scientists call hyperactive default mode networks. The default mode network, or DMN, is the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on a task. It's responsible for self-reflection, imagining the future, replaying the past, and making meaning out of your experiences. In most people, the DMN powers down when they try to sleep. In overthinkers, it doesn't get that memo. It keeps running, it keeps connecting dots, asking questions, simulating scenarios. It's like having a computer that refuses to shut down even when you press the power button. And the cruel irony? The more you try to force it to stop, the louder it gets. Telling an overthinker to just stop thinking is like telling someone to stop being aware they're breathing. The moment you draw attention to it, it's all you can think about. But why do some people have this and others don't? A big part of it comes down to something called anxiety sensitivity, which is basically how much a person fears their own anxious thoughts and feelings. People with high anxiety sensitivity don't just feel worried, they worry about feeling worried. They notice a racing thought and immediately think, something is wrong with me. And that second layer of panic? That's what keeps the spiral going long after it should have stopped. There's also a personality dimension researchers keep coming back to: neuroticism. Now, before you roll your eyes at that word, this isn't an insult. Neuroticism simply means a tendency to experience negative emotions more intensely and more frequently. People high in neuroticism are often incredibly intelligent, deeply empathetic, and highly creative. But their emotional thermostat runs hot. Small things feel big. Uncertain things feel dangerous. And at night, when there's no distraction to turn the temperature down, everything heats up fast. Here's something that might surprise you. A lot of nighttime overthinkers aren't actually anxious people in the traditional sense. They're not nervous wrecks during the day. They function. They hold jobs, raise kids, seem totally fine in public. What they actually are is highly analytical. Their brains are wired to solve problems, to anticipate outcomes, to leave nothing unexamined. During the day, that quality is an asset. It makes them good at their jobs, careful in relationships, thorough in decisions. But at night, there are no more problems to actually solve. The analytical engine is still running, but there's no real work to give it. So it manufactures work, it digs up old problems, it builds hypothetical future disasters. Not because something is wrong, but because a brain wired for problem solving needs a problem. Researchers at the University of Surrey found that people who identified as worriers were significantly better at imagining detailed, complex future scenarios than non-worriers. Their brains were, in a very literal sense, better at simulation. The same mental machinery that makes them overthink at night is the same machinery that makes them exceptional planners, writers, strategists, and problem solvers during the day. The curse and the gift are the same thing. Let's talk about the emotional side of this, because overthinking at night isn't always about the future. A lot of it is about the past. There's a psychological process called emotional consolidation that happens during the transition into sleep. Your brain tries to take unresolved emotional experiences and file them away properly. But if an experience is too painful, too confusing, or too unresolved, the brain keeps pulling the file back out, keeps trying to make sense of it, keeps asking, what does this mean? What should I have done? What does it say about me? This is why breakups keep you up at night long after the relationship ended. Why a fight with someone you love replays on loop. Why a moment of embarrassment from years ago can surface at 2 a.m. like it just happened. Your brain isn't punishing you, it's trying to finish something that never got a proper ending. And the people most prone to this, the ones who spent their days being strong, the ones who pushed through without stopping to feel it, the ones who said I'm fine because there wasn't time or space to be anything else. Night is when their emotional debt comes due. There's also something worth saying about control. Nighttime overthinkers, almost universally, have a complicated relationship with uncertainty. During the day, they manage it. They make lists. They plan ahead. They prepare for every possible outcome. Control is how they stay calm. But in bed, in the dark, there are no lists. There's nothing left to prepare. And in that stillness, all the things they can't control, the future, other people's feelings, what might go wrong, come flooding in. The overthinking isn't random. It's the mind desperately reaching for certainty in a place where certainty doesn't exist. Psychologists call this intolerance of uncertainty, and it's one of the strongest predictors of chronic worry. It's not that these people expect bad things to happen, it's that they can't stand not knowing what's going to happen. The unknown feels more threatening than even a bad outcome. At least a bad outcome is something you can deal with. The unknown is just open space, and their brain fills that space obsessively, compulsively, trying to build solid ground where there isn't any. So what actually helps? Not advice like just think positive or write in a journal. Let's be honest, if that fixed it, you wouldn't be here. What the research actually points to is something called scheduled worry time. It sounds almost laughably simple, but the evidence behind it is solid. You pick a specific 20-minute window during the day, not at night, and you give yourself full permission to worry. You write it all down. You let your brain run through everything it wants to run through. Then, when the thoughts come at night, you have something to say back to them. Not now. We already did this. Your time is at 5 p.m. It works because it doesn't fight the brain. It redirects it. It gives the analytical engine a scheduled appointment instead of letting it hold a hostage situation at midnight. Another thing that works? Cognitive diffusion, a technique from acceptance and commitment therapy. Instead of engaging with the thoughts, you learn to observe them. You stop saying I'm worried this will go wrong and start saying I'm noticing a thought that says this might go wrong. That tiny shift in language creates distance. It reminds you that the thought is not reality. It's just a thought, just weather passing through. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. If you're someone who lies awake every night with a brain that won't quit, you are not broken. You're not weak. You're not doing life wrong. You have a brain that's deeply invested in your survival, one that cares enormously about outcomes, about people, about getting things right, one that takes the future seriously enough to prepare for it even when preparation has long since stopped being useful. The problem was never the thinking. The problem is that it runs without an off switch. And now that you know why, that it's your default mode network, your need for certainty, your analytical engine without a task to solve, you can stop fighting yourself. Because the most exhausting part of overthinking at night isn't the thoughts themselves. It's believing there's something wrong with you for having them. There isn't. You're just someone whose mind never really learned how to come home. If this felt like someone finally put words to something you've lived with for years, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more of these deep dives into the psychology of everyday life, subscribe. New one coming soon.